And welcome, folks, to Champions for Life. I'm your host, Ken Wilson. So delighted to be in the studio with you today. Shout out to KKVV for rebroadcasting this podcast. And we love KKVV, the light of Las Vegas. And also want to thank everyone that attended last week's Love Thy Neighbor Festival that KKVV had. I heard the turnout was fantastic, and a lot of folks had a wonderful, wonderful time. KKVV just doing wonderful stuff for our community. Great radio station, folks. Please support not only this broadcast, but all the broadcasts that you hear over KKVV. Those that you love, support, because you're only hearing them thanks to KKVV 1060 AM. Boy, we got a lot of stuff in the news. We have a special guest today. Well, I can't wait to get to him. Jim Blockey, who's running for District 1, House of Representatives, running for a congressional seat to represent the state of Nevada, District 1. The primary is coming up on January 9th. Going to be running against Kerry Buck. We're going to be talking about the differences between him and Kerry. And we're going to be looking forward to that in just a few minutes. The views and opinions of the broadcaster and Champions for Life do not reflect the opinions of First Choice Pregnancy Services or their staff. But a lot of stuff that's still in our future that we need to talk about. Talking about August 21st, we have a Call to Care, which is a medical professional gathering here at First Choice. And the reason we do these is because we want to make sure that everyone in Las Vegas and in the state of Nevada knows who we are and what we're doing, especially our medical community. Listen, sometimes, and I had this with my own personal doctor, who had no idea we existed and was glad that he found out about First Choice because he needed a place to, send some of his patients that were dealing with abortion issues and or dealing with pregnancy issues, and First Choice was here for them, and we're now being advertised for and promoted in his office. And other doctors need to know of this, know of our clinic as well. And so this Call to Care, Partners in Life, a medical professional gathering, is going to be held August 21st. There's the ad right there on the screen. And you can RSVP. If you do so by August 18th, I know that's just up ahead, but listen, summer's happening. There's a lot going on. You want to make sure that if you're in the medical profession, if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, if you're training to become either, that you familiarize yourself as a medical professional with First Choice, because we're making a difference in our community. And that will be held right here at our clinic, 860 East Sahara, and it's right next to Tower of Jewels. So we look forward to that event. And on August 27th, we are going to be hosting yet another Pro-Life Apologetics Pastors Luncheon. And this is going to be awesome. We love doing these, by the way. This is an outreach to our pastors so that our pastors in turn can familiarize themselves with our clinic, the services that we provide, and in turn let their congregation know not only that we exist, but we're there not only for their congregation, but for the entire city of Las Vegas. And this can happen. This is going to happen on August 27th. The location right now, we're still determining where that's going to be, but mark your calendar. August 27th, Pro-Life Pastors Luncheon. It's going to be free. It's going to be for your pastor, not only your pastor, but your youth pastor as well. And again, August 21st is the medical professional gathering right here at First Choice, 860 East Sahara. If you got questions about any of these events or the things that are scheduled, you can give First Choice a call. Our telephone number, 702-294-CARE. That's 294-2273. I also want to, now for those of you that are listening to the broadcast and you say, well, listen, First Choice, I don't, you have a show about a clinic? Yes, we do. First Choice Pregnancy Services was nominated years ago by Focus on the Family as being the model crisis pregnancy center in the nation. In the nation. And it's right here in Las Vegas. Now, that's why you need to know that we exist. The beautiful thing about First Choice is that for every single patient that walks through our doors, right, there's no obligation. We don't ask them for a dime, not one penny for any of the services. For those young ladies who are facing an unplanned pregnancy, a crisis in their pregnancy, or simply want to determine if they are pregnant so that they can explore all their options, First Choice is here for them, never charging a cent to any of the clients that work through their door. And it's beautiful because First Choice exists because the people of God support it. It's just that simple. What a beautiful facility to have, a medical clinic staffed by doctors and nurses and administration and staff that love the Lord, love these young ladies and mothers and families, and are doing it as an outreach to our community. It doesn't get any better than that. So you want to support First Choice. So if you have any questions about our services, hours of operation, anything, there's numerous ways you can do that. One of them simply is by giving us a call. Our number is 702-294-CARE. That's 702-294-2273. Or you can go to our website. Now, we have two websites. Listen, if you're listening on the radio, I know it's tough to, try and write down or remember a website. But for those of you who want to support or get more information about events and so forth, it's fcpschampions.org. fcpschampions.org stands for First Choice Pregnancy Services. fcpschampions.org gives you a list of all of our services, everything that we're going to be doing, all of our times and our events that we're going to be having, plus all of our podcasts that we've held. So that's that. Now, for those of you who are need our services, this is a different website. And I'm going to tell you why this is important. Because the two websites are different, because those that are on the need side of First Choice, we have a site just dedicated simply for them. And that's firstchoicelv.com. firstchoicelv.com. And the beautiful thing about that is you can book an appointment if you're in need of our services 24/7. We also have the Abortion Pill Reversal Protocol Hotline, which is open 24 hours a day. You give our hotline number a call, which again is on our website, then you will be put in touch immediately with a nurse, then a doctor that will help save your child's life if you've taken the abortion pill by mistake or took it and regret it. We will do everything I can to save the life of your children. And the amazing thing about that is there are over 25 children that are alive today because of this, because First Choice exists, because of our hotline, because of our abortion pill reversal protocol. And again, that's on our website, firstchoicelv.com. Or here's the number. For those of you who say, you know what, maybe I might need this number in the future. Here's our hotline number. It's 877-558-0333. Again, 877-558-0333 for the abortion pill reversal protocol. And so these are just some of the services that we provide. We, not only do we have wonderful counseling and resources for moms that, are looking forward to having their child but need a little help, but we also provide a free pregnancy test for any of our clients that come in and ask for it. We also provide free ultrasounds for the young ladies that come in, the families that come in, and they want to verify their pregnancy, make sure that the child is healthy. We do all of it free of charge. Just this past week, from the 26th of May up until today, we did 61, First Choice has done 61 pregnancy tests and 51, it's just in the past week, 51 ultrasounds, all free of charge. It just goes to show you how busy it is. Not only that, we're looking forward to the day when we can open up our second clinic right here in Las Vegas. All right, we're going to take a break and we're going to hear from our sponsors, and we will be right back. And I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge RTS Postal Express for all your printing needs, whether it's color copies, whether it's black and white copies. Maybe you would like your company or business logo on your shirts or your cups or your umbrellas, or perhaps you need business banners or signs. You name it, RTS Postal Express. My man Angelo, if you mention Champions for Life, you will get a discount on your order, so make it a big one. For more information, contact RTS at 702-489-4859. Again, that's 702-489-4859. RTS Postal Express, one of the proud sponsors of the Champions for Life
broadcast.
And welcome back, folks, to the Champions for Life broadcast. And I'm just so delighted to have in studio with me today Jim Blockey, who is running for Congress for the House of Representatives for District 1 here in Nevada. And Jim, welcome to the broadcast.
I appreciate you having me. And as I always do, I always give glory to God, the first thing. And when I say God, I'm talking about the Father of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And which is terrible that in a Christian nation you have to explain who your God is like that. But you do.
If people only knew that, early on in our nation's founding, you had to have a profession of faith even before you can become
That's right.
be part of leadership or in politics or a statesman or woman, and how far we've drifted from that. But
boy, that's for sure.
Jim, there is a lot. Your past is rich. Not only are you a licensed pastor, but what else have you done? Tell the folks.
Well, I'm a retired teacher, and so I taught in the school district for 22 years, and I was very vocal about the problems that our school system has, and they didn't like that. They don't care if you're a Christian or a conservative, but they care if you're a Christian conservative that opens his mouth and talks about being a Christian conservative. And so I took a lot of heat over the 22 years, and that's why I had to retire early. The Air Force brought me out here in 1974, and I've stayed here, and I love Las Vegas. It's a great place, and I love this country, and I hate to see what's happening to this country, right, because we do not have any. Our morality, if we had a morality meter, it would be on the low to dying segment of that. And I'm just tired of that. I'm tired of people saying one thing and being another and doing another thing. And I want to be that guy who starts where when I tell the people that what I'm going to do, or at least try to do, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to be held accountable by people like yourself and people like Tony Dane, my campaign consultant, my wife, my friends. I don't want to be that guy who says I'm going to try to do something and then just forget about it. I don't want to say that I'm pro-life and then vote for abortion bills. I don't want to be that guy.
Right. And in fact, as a matter of fact, you have a website. One of the first things on your website at, I think, Jim Blockey?
It's blockeyforcongress.com.
Blockeyforcongress.com.
And the number 4. The Blockey number 4 Congress.
Okay. All right.
It's not F-O-R.
And one of the first things on there is the fact that it's the first time, I think, in at least recent history where I've seen a candidate state right at the beginning of your value for life and the fact that you will fight and defend life immediately. It's refreshing, in my opinion.
Well, God spoke to me years ago, and He said that, what really bothers Him about this country is the two things are education and abortion. Abortion is obviously the most immoral thing out there. And then those who survive abortion, those who actually make it through and actually are delivered, we send them to schools that teach our kids that what God says is wrong. We teach our kids in our schools to sin, and He doesn't like it. He wants us fighting for that. God can fix things. God did not need Noah to build the ark. I think it's pretty safe to say that God could have built that on His own, but He wants people to do things. He wants people who are willing to say yes to Him. Same with, He didn't need Moses to part this river, but He did. He didn't need David to slay Goliath, but He used him. Yeah. And He uses people, and people are not fighting for abortion. They are fighting for abortion better than they're fighting for our schools, and He rewarded us by getting rid of Roe v. Wade.
Right. And that's what we've been praying for. I'm reminded of a song, that the lyrics are something to the effect of, a complaint by the author, the singer. Well, Lord, why haven't you done this? And why haven't you fixed that? And why haven't you done this other thing? And can't you see what's happening? And he said, and the Lord responds, I did. I created you.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that sounds like that's part of your mission.
Oh, without a doubt. My favorite joke is the one where there was a flood happening and the guy sent a police officer to take him out of his home. He said, no, God will take care of me. And then he's on a rooftop because the flood's happening, and a boat comes and says, no, God will take care of me. And a few minutes later, a helicopter came over. God's got me. And he died. He went to heaven. He said, God, I thought you were going to save me. He goes, I sent you a police officer, a boat, and a helicopter.
Well, what else was I supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, so, people need to do things. People need to be active. People need to vote. I mean, all the things I remember my wife, the first time she read through the Bible, she was like, my gosh, things are great, then they're bad, then they're great, and they just can't get it together. He says, "What's the problem?" I says, America's no different, and the thing that is different than the Israelites is that we have a choice of who our leaders are. That's never happened before. The Israelites, the Jewish people, did not have a choice who their kings were. We have a choice by who we vote for, and we have been complacent in that. We vote for people because we hear their name and they've got a lot of money. And, the Geico Gecko has a better chance of getting elected in this country
Right.
because he's got name recognition and money. And that shouldn't be that way.
Right. Well, there's a lot of issues that are facing America besides abortion. Although, I often tell my friends, years ago, that I made a vow to the Lord that I would never vote for a candidate that would vote to end life, the life of unborn children.
Right.
So that kind of whittled down my candidate list. But some people don't understand that. And, if we draw back about 150 years ago, you could have made the same thing about slavery and would have been seen to be, a very moral and dignified person by stating, I'm not going to vote for anyone that's in favor of slavery, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the same sort of thing. We have to set our values at a point where it's conditional on, if you're going to be in favor of X, Y, or Z, and they certainly are against what God ordains and what our moral values are as a country, then you've disqualified yourself as a potential candidate, at least, for people who have faith,
Right. And the thing with that is, and I agree with you 100%, is that you find those people who are faith-based. You find them in the primary. You don't always find them in the general election. People don't get involved in the primary nearly enough. But when I ran back in 1998 and in 2000, I ran for Congress. And, I got my butt kicked pretty good. But I wasn't obedient to God like I should have been back then, as I am today, that I'm just doing everything that God has asked me. But the point is after I lost in 2000, I wrote an article saying the Republicans' primary problem are the primaries. We don't back the right candidate. We figure, well, hey, let's vote for the person who we think has a better chance of beating the Democrat. Right. That has not worked in 30 years. Nobody ever wins when they back a person for that reason. The reason what you need to do is you need to vote for the best Republican candidate, not because of money, not because of name recognition, because once you get past the primary, you're going to have all the money and name recognition you need. I mean, it's not going to be a problem. When we were up in Washington, D.C., if they said if we win the primary, you have $2 million the next day in your bank account. And so the money will be there if that person gets through. So we need to be alert in the primary. And in this case here, we're running against Dina Titus. There's nothing more important than this primary right now. Because a person who votes 46% of the time with the Democrats is not going to beat this person. Why would a Democrat vote for a Republican who acts like a Democrat? They might as well just vote for the Democrat. Right. And that's the philosophy that needs to be in the Republican Party's mind. And why would a person vote for someone who says they're pro-life and then votes for 3 abortion bills? That
is a very interesting. Now, first of all, before we get into Kerry Buck, who you're running against in the primary, we want to inform everybody. Now, a lot of you have already received, or you should have received, your primary sample ballots already. So you should be looking to vote in the primary. A lot of early voting has already begun, I believe, at the end of May. And so, but June 9th
is the primary
date. And folks, we need to be involved. I mean, it's a little late sometimes if you wait until election day to figure out who your candidates are. You need to be looking now, right?
You needed to be looking at the beginning of May at least.
Well, that's true too. So again, that's coming up. So you should have had your sample ballot already in the mail. And if you haven't, you need to contact the election department. But
that's right.
You are running against Kerry Buck. Now, we're talking about in the Republican primary, for those of you who are Republicans. And Carrie has some interesting support from various people, and good-looking gal. What differentiates you from her?
Well, again, what I say I am is what I actually am. I am pro-life, and there's no fighting any of that. She claims to be pro-life, but again, she has voted for 3 abortion bills. She's voted with the Democrats 46% of the time. And I don't say that. That's the American Conservative Union that says that.
46% of the time.
Yeah, she votes with the Democrats. And, she's got right now she's got an FEC investigation against her because she raised money and manipulating people. They thought they were giving money to Donald Trump when actually the money was going to her.
Whoa.
And so, and she pled guilty for raising funds illegally back in 2020 or 2021. I mean, so she's got a lot of things against her. And I mean, yeah, she's a nice gal. I like her personally, but I am tired. I am just tired of these politicians who say one thing and do another and vote a different way. She's been in Senate for I think 4 years or something, 5 years, and she's never introduced a bill the entire time she was there.
Wow, in the state Senate for Nevada, never introduced any piece of legislation.
No.
Well, that's concerning.
Yeah.
Certainly, there's a lot of things that we could be voting for.
But what's more concerning is the people who are endorsing her. I mean, I understand Trump. I mean, that's he doesn't know Kerry Buck anymore, and he knows who I am. He's doing what the national tells him to do, or recommends that he does. And so, and he doesn't realize that. I mean, in 2023, she called MAGA people lunatics or vile or something like that. She was not a MAGA fan. Mm-hmm. If people really research and find out who Kerry Buck is, they won't vote for her in any way, shape, or form. I mean, again, she's a nice gal, but she doesn't have a chance against Dina Titus.
Right. Yeah, that's Titus is a big name for the Democrats. She's been in service now, decades now, I guess.
150, 200 years. I mean, she's the thing is again, it's just that there are a lot of Democrats in her district. And we've talked to them, and they're fed up with her, not just her, but the Democratic Party and the things that they're trying to do. There's still a lot of those JFK Democrats out there who are looking for somebody else to vote for. And they will vote for somebody else who is different. They'll vote for somebody who said, the JFK slogan, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Yeah. That's a Republican statement right there.
Right. Yeah.
People just don't listen to, those things. And there's nothing more important than things like that.
Right. One of the things that I want to talk about, part of your platform is education. And as a father of 3 daughters, one of whom is in high school, another in middle school, there is a growing concern that well, obviously we've begun to see an intrusion of males in women's sports,
right,
in high school and in the college level. And there's a real concern that in the state of Nevada that this policy of the school board is going to be allowed to continue. Now, a lot of people are using the Title IX amendment as justification for allowing transgender boys into girls' sports. Tell me what is that is that not reading the law correctly, or is that just something that's implied, or what can be done there on the congressional level?
Who is the best at manipulating and giving excuses and justifying? That's the devil.
No, for sure.
And so the devil can take anything and justify it and manipulate it into whatever you want it to be.
Right.
And I'm tired of that's another thing that is just really I'm tired of is people use excuses and manipulation. There is no way that transgender should be even taught in our schools, should even be thought about in our schools. And see, this is the thing is that the devil keeps trying to push his agenda. And when he sees there's too much pushback, then he pulls back. And then he tries it later. And so a lot of these things that are happening are just the devil trying to see what he can get away with and then come back later and attack us with it. And he did, because they've pushed back on transgender. That's kind of was quieted for a while. Now they're bringing it back in,
Right.
and that's what we need to stop. And the thing is we have the laws on our side. It's just like the immigration law. President Trump did not make any new laws. He just enforced the ones that are on the books. Right. Well, in 1963, when they took prayer out of school, Justice Clark, in his opinion, said, when it comes to education and religion, education needs to remain neutral. What's being taught in our schools today is not neutral. They teach abortion is okay. They teach same-sex marriage is okay. They teach transgender is okay. They teach abortion is okay. They teach all these things that God says are sin, they teach is okay. So they're teaching directly against our religion of Christianity. That's illegal. They said that in 1963. It's just nobody ever enforces things. That's the Democrat thing, is they love laws, but they only enforce them on people who they don't like, which is us. They don't like to enforce laws. Look at the riots that have happened. They're not protests. Those are riots. There should be people going to jail because of that. But they don't put people in jail for that. And therein lies the problem. We need to fix our education system to where let's teach it neutral. You don't need to have prayer in school because, well, you saw what the county commission did with that when they had the guy with the horns, praying to Satan. Right. And that's what happens when you have this belief that any religion can say what they do. Say what they want. That's why I don't want prayer in school. That's why I don't want the Bible taught. The last thing I want is someone like that guy with the horns who might be a teacher. The last thing I want him is to teach my kid about the Bible. I don't want some lesbian or some, transgender. I don't want them teaching my kid or your children what the Bible says. I don't want to them teaching about Christianity, in other words. And so let's just make it neutral. Let's teach reading without reading phonetically. Let's teach math without calculators. Let's teach the true history of this country. And let's teach, a science that doesn't tell the kids are going to die in 5 years because the Earth's going to blow up. That's it. From K to 6, that's what the kids should learn. Nothing else. It should be neutral.
Right. Just
basic stuff. Teach them how to read phonetically is important because that's the only way to teach our language, the English language, and math without calculators. What's really crazy is they have calculators basically from first grade through 12th grade. And when they take the proficiency test, guess what you can't have? You can't have a calculator. So they don't expect the kids to actually memorize their multiplication and addition tables, but then they expect them to know it when they take the proficiency exam. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah. That's problematic, and it's kind of odd because one of the things I just talked about with my son, who's now in college, was getting the right calculator for his calculus class. But
well, there are for calculus, yes, yeah, that's understandable. But make them learn their multiplication addition tables. In other words, don't have calculators in the classroom until you're 5th grade, 6th grade when they need that kind of thing.
Right. So, well, let me ask you this. Wrapping around back to Title IX, what do you think can be done on the congressional level? Now, I realize, with a slim majority, in Congress, it's tough to move anything forward. I get that, mm-hmm. Right? Nevertheless, we do have the majority,
right?
And we anticipate keeping that majority after the election. But what do you think can be done? I mean, do we need to revisit Title IX with some type of amendment? What I'm trying to get at is there should be a way to either enforce the law on the books or to dismantle the argument legally from the other side about having men in girls' sports when the other side is using Title IX as justification due to lack of sex discrimination.
Right.
That's what they're using. Yeah. But in actuality, they're doing the very thing that they're saying that they're not supposed to be doing. So I'm wondering, is there an amendment that's needed, or is there just some type of clarification on how we're to enforce law? I mean, what can be done on the congressional level?
Well, one, Hosea 4:6 says, "My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge." Is give people knowledge. Get out there and speak about this, which is happening to an extent. I would say that you could probably put an amendment in there that men does not equal woman. And so, because it's all about women, everything in Title IX talks about women. It doesn't talk about transgender. Doesn't talk about that.
Right.
And just because you say you're a man or a woman doesn't mean you're a woman.
Right.
And so there could be an amendment like that.
Right.
And it would be simple. And unfortunately, in Congress, they don't like things that are simple. They don't like things that make sense. And because common sense has become a 4-letter word in our country. But yeah, I think an amendment that just says men are not a biological man. Someone who's born biologically a man cannot become a woman and to get into sports.
And cannot compete in women's sports. And
Right.
I think this is an important thing for a variety of issues. There are parents, I'm being one of them, told my daughter, and I said, listen, you're going into high school. I know you're athletic. I know you want to be involved in sports. But I said, the day that you see a man undressing in your locker room, I said, you're done.
That's right.
I said, you're done. She said, Dad, you don't have to worry. I'm out. I'm not going to put up with it. And so parents are now having to face these crazy scenarios that they never had to worry about 10 years ago. Just
Right.
10 years ago, our founding fathers would have never envisioned a time where boys could be in girls' locker rooms undressing and then participating and competing against other girls. It's craziness. But I guess that just shows you how far down we've slidden morally.
Our founding fathers would have never imagined same-sex marriage.
Well,
there's so many. Our founding fathers were specific. George Washington had said in his farewell address to the country, he said, reason and experience both forbid us to believe you can have a national morality without biblical principle.
Right.
And he said religious principle, but when our founding fathers said religion or religious, they were referring to Scripture, the Bible, biblical Scripture. And see, people don't realize that. People don't understand that that's what religion they're talking about. They're not talking about the religion of Satanic. They're not talking about the religion of Buddhism, Hinduism, or anything like that. They were talking about biblical Scripture.
Right.
And again, my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. They don't realize that. But if you read what our founding fathers said, and I did an all-day seminar where I explained all this to them, what the founders said, and this is why you can say when they said religious, they were talking about biblical Scripture, because they actually at times defined it, said when we're talking about religion, we're talking about the Scriptures. And so we believe that right now that when religious term is used, the term religion is used, that it means any religion. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't.
Right, it doesn't. I'm speaking with Jim Blockey, who is running for the House of Representatives, congressional representative for the state of Nevada, District 1. And Jim Blockey, not only a veteran, pastor, community leader, teacher, and is running against his candidate Carrie Buck in the primaries coming up on the 9th. So, Jim, switching topics a little bit. I often tell people that move here from California because that's happening a lot. A lot of businesses are leaving California because of the high taxation and other problems, and unfortunately, they're bringing their politics with them.
Yeah, they leave because of the politics.
They leave
they bring them. How? That doesn't make sense.
I know, but it's happening. So there's a lot of concern. There's concern over higher gas prices because we get all of our fuel from California, and with the governor there threatening to shut down another refinery there, the gas prices are going to only continue to rise, and for other factors as well. And so we're seeing an influx of this ideology from California, but at the same time we're seeing businesses come from California. We love the money, not really crazy about the politics, but we still want to attract new business in the state of Nevada. And so how do we get one without the other?
That is a good question.
Is it even possible?
I don't know the answer to that one. I do know that we do need businesses here, and we do with our tax rates. We do attract them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when they come from California, they bring their politics with them.
Right.
And again, maybe that, maybe every business that comes here needs to sit and talk with people like you and I a little bit about their politics and say, hey, the reason you left there is because of your politics. So when you come here, maybe you shouldn't bring your politics with you because it didn't work very good there.
Right.
Stan Haidt, who's running for sheriff down in Nye County, who ran for sheriff here before, he says, I think the wall needs to extend through California.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
That would be a great idea. But there's some companies that are coming over, like the one that right off the top of my head, Mark Wahlberg has brought his studio production company from California, set up here in the state of Nevada, actually here in Las Vegas. And it's a Christian production company.
Yep.
And so we love these type of businesses.
Right.
That's certainly going to result in a lot more jobs, a lot more affluence for the people of Nevada. It would be wonderful if we could attract more businesses like that. But again, attracting more business, keeping our taxes low, all of these things you're campaigning to maintain and enforce.
Right. And part of the gas prices, too, I think, is we need to start opening our refineries. Utah has tons of oil. And there's other states that have oil that would not only sustain us, but we would be able to sell to other countries, which is what we were doing in President Trump's first term is he had opened a lot of the refineries and they were digging for oil here, and we were not only supplying America, but we were supplying other countries. That's not happening today.
Yeah.
And it's the Iran war has affected the gas prices very little. It's the shutting, like you said, it's the oil refineries in California that are shutting down.
Well, the other problem is, unbelievably, and of course, a lot of people don't realize this, but most of our gas or fuel, oil, should come from Mexico and Canada because they're trading partners, and the United States as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in the case of California, for whatever reason, they've decided to import a third of their oil from OPEC nations.
Right.
And because they're doing that, now we're seeing a higher transport cost.
That's right.
And furthermore, if we continue down this road, obviously all of our fuel is going to have to be transported. If any kind of craziness happens by Newsom or the next regime in California, then us trying to get gas from other places is going to be difficult. And we're worried that, of course, gas prices are going to continue to increase. I mean, we don't want to see the gas prices in California be those that are here that we're paying.
But
so,
OPEC is not controlled by the United States. OPEC is.
I understand that.
And so that's also a problem. So they can make our prices whatever they want to, and that's why we don't want to deal with them.
I often wondered, and this is probably a pipe dream, but wouldn't it be wonderful if we could, widget A and widget B, they both sell, but they both do the same thing, but this one's $20 and this is $5, and the $5 widget is made in the United States. And why wouldn't it be great if North American oil was differentiated from oil producing other countries like in the Middle East, and have its own price? But I don't see that ever happening. But I always thought it would be a really great idea.
We have the resources to do that, and like I said, Utah and other states there's oil in those states, and that we could be that competitive. And when you brought that up, I couldn't help but think that that's part of the Congress's job, is to keep monopolies from happening, prevent monopolies. And I've talked to several small businesses, mom and pop restaurants, who Cisco is buying out Restaurant Depot. And that's going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to put them out of business, or it's going to make them raise their prices of their food, substantially in order for them to stay in business. I've talked to a lot of these small businesses, and they're hurting. They're scared that if this keeps happening and nobody does anything about it, that they're going to have to go belly up. They're not going to be able to stay in business. And what makes America great is our small business. That's the difference of us from any other nation, is because we have small business, people who are entrepreneurs who can have their small businesses, specifically restaurants. And if monopoly happens, like if Cisco buys out Restaurant Depot, that could be a monopoly. And they already see the possibility and the prices raising of some of their food. Wow. Specifically, milk was one that Pacific Diner, Marvin told us about. It says it's going to go up $17 a case. which is a lot more. And that is the thing. He's going to have to either raise his prices to where people won't want to come in there, or he's going to have to go out of business. And so that's part of Congress's job, and that's part of the president's job. And that's why it's so important when we're talking about oil, is that we have the oil here, so there's not a monopoly, so they can't. We don't have to deal with OPEC. We don't have to deal with even Mexico or Canada. Right. We have it here, and Mexico and Canada and OPEC have to deal with us. And that's what's going to keep America great, is things like that. But Congress, we have a lot of the Dean Tituses who hate America. They just do not like America. They do not like freedom. They like being in power. They like being called congressman or state senator. They like those titles. When I get elected, I don't want you to call me Congressman Jim. I want you to call me Jim. I don't even like it when people call me Pastor Jim, or just Jim, because titles are prideful, and I don't want to have that pridefulness. Yeah. And there's too many people in Congress right now who have a pride, which is why I never was for term limits before. I always thought the American people were smart enough to get rid of those people. And unfortunately, as a teacher, I realized that they're not. And so I am now for term limits. Yeah. And so it's terrible. And I don't mean to insult the American people. It's just, our founding fathers said it. You need to be an educated voter. They don't mean you need to have been to college. They mean you need to know who's running for office. You need to see who it is and vote for the person who's best suited for America. Right. Not best suited for themselves.
Right.
I can guarantee you one thing. When I do get elected, I'm not going to be a millionaire in 2 years, in 5 years, or anything like that.
Yeah, no, there's an amazing trend where people who end up going to just Congress, the House of Representatives, which is only for 2 years, and yet they end up coming back very, very wealthy. A lot of people don't realize first of all, I want to say this very clearly, that there are wonderful statesmen and stateswomen that serve in Congress. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's right.
And to prove that to you, there are, for our congressional members, very often you're spending a lot of time in Washington, D.C. So consequently, a lot of these representatives try and find housing or property that's in Northern Virginia, in D.C., or in Maryland, in order so that, that they're able to commute back and forth between the capital and their home, rather than having to fly back from California or Nevada or what have you. The problem is that housing in that area is very expensive, right? I used to live up there, and I can tell you firsthand. And so consequently, some of these statesmen, some, not all, a few, instead of, because they're not overly wealthy, right, and are not using their position to obtain wealth, a lot of times their home is actually in the office in the Capitol building. They're sleeping, they're brushing their teeth, they're showering right in the Capitol, because they simply don't have the resources and the funds to buy a home in the region. And when I see that, and I had no idea this was a thing until I actually went to the House of Representatives and to the Capitol and saw some of these congressmen and women that were doing this type of thing. And those are the people, the humble and meek servants that make the best representatives. They really do. That they're not self-seeking, self-serving. They're really there for the people. They're not there to get rich. They want to serve their community. And there are people like that. The trick for the voter is to find those candidates and support them.
That's right.
And make sure they win their primary.
That's right. Well, obviously, yeah, they've already won the primary and they've gotten elected.
Well, right.
And so it is important for you to understand. There's also people, those kind of people who 5 of them will live in a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment together. They'll get an apartment together. And there's those who do that kind of thing too. It's amazing how many good people there are out there, but it's amazing how many people don't realize it.
Right. And I was impressed. And so I'm thinking we may have one of those candidates right here today interviewing. Of course, I'm interviewing Jim Blockey, who's running for District 1 congressional seat here in the state of Nevada. Want to be your representative in Congress, going to make a difference on Capitol Hill. And so we've talked a little bit. Obviously, we talked about the moral issues. Obviously, as a pastor, we should know where you stand on everything from abortion, transgender, gay rights, all that sort of thing. We've talked about oil a little bit. We've talked a little bit about education. A lot of people right now are concerned about our unstable Middle East crisis. Mm-hmm. And some people see the Trump administration is going too far. Some people are saying it's about time that we've done something. Others have seen, possibly maybe we're not doing enough. Where do you think your support lies when we're dealing with foreign policy, where we now have, a Middle East crisis on our hands, especially mm-hmm. with Iran?
And this crisis isn't President Trump's. I mean, it isn't his war. This is a war that's been going on for decades. And he's just the first one who's actually tried to do something about it. And I like the way he's handling it. I don't think we want to have us dropping nukes on them or anything like that. But I think what he's done is he has stopped their progress in getting a nuclear bomb. And that's the major goal. We want Iran to be Iran. You can do what you want. But if they get a nuclear weapon, those kind of people up there, those who are in charge, the leaders, I don't think they would hesitate to send that bomb over to Israel. And so I think it's imperative that we prevent them from having a nuclear bomb. And so and President Trump, I mean, they're close. They were like within months, and they're still within even more than months now. He set them back quite a bit. And that's what's important, is just preventing them. We don't want to kill civilians, but again, they're the ones who, put all their offices in hospitals and in schools and places like that, and which is, to me, that's a cowardly on their part. But the main thing that we need to do with the Middle East, specifically with Iran, is to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon.
Right. And, a lot of people don't understand as well that, when you attack an ally of the United States, it's as though, if you're part of NATO, it's as though you're attacking the United States. And our response would be, or should be, legally, the same type of response as if they were bombing the United States or one of our states. That is
exactly right.
That is how heavy mm-hmm. our NATO treaty alliances are with our country. So Israel has been enduring forever mm-hmm. Missiles coming from, not only Hezbollah and Hamas, but from Iran as well. And so we are obligated to respond. My dream is to one day visit Israel, but it would be nice if we weren't ducking missiles while we're landing.
Yeah. Yes, that is 100% true. Israel is they're our friend. They've always been our friend. And as far as being a Christian, that's where Jesus walked. Yeah. And,
it's the Holy Land.
They're our ally. We need to protect them. They're a very, small place in the middle of the Middle East. And I think it's one of God's commands for America is to keep protecting them.
Yeah, and furthermore, they're the only democracy in that region, mm-hmm. right? You want to talk about a people that's representative, have a government that represents them, like in the United States. Then you're only looking at Israel, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're looking at Jordan, where they have a king, or Turkey, or Iran, of course, Iraq has its own problems, but then you have Syria and Lebanon. These places are run by a leadership that is very dictatorial.
Yeah, it's exactly right. If you want to see where the Democrats are trying to take America, look over there, because that's what they want. They want a dictator, but they want to be the dictator.
Yeah, that's right. They want no king but them. But their own.
That's right.
In fact, we saw that in the last presidential election. I mean, the candidate for president of the United States never even had a primary. You talk about a no king rally. I mean, you've nominated someone.
I was actually out there at the No Kings rally. there was a group of us who were the King of Kings. And, and I would talk to these people. I says, I respect your right to free speech, which proves that there's no kings here. You have the right to free speech. I just wish you would respect my right to free speech as much as I respect yours. Yeah. And that really made them mad.
Yeah, well, and a lot of that is, there's a lot of paid protesters. You would never think that your career option today would be to be a paid protester for a lot of these. In fact, I still don't understand this. I think I'm beginning to understand it I think I began to see this from the Obama administration when this started, when he was running for president of the United States, starting to see these community organizing groups that were then in turn paid, and they just flooded Las Vegas with it. I'm sure he did it in other places. But now it's almost as though it's the standard. I mean, that the Democrats have adopted in order to, I don't know, promote social unrest. I really don't understand it, what the goal is. But
socialism. I mean, it's literally socialism. That's what they want. They want to be in charge of everybody because they think they know what's best for me. They think they know what's best for you. And that's what they want. That's their goal. And see, the thing that we forget is we have God on our side. God can fix anything. But as I said earlier, he always wants us to start it. He'll finish it. He'll take care of it. David had to pick up the rocks. He picked up 5. He only needed 1. Right. Moses had to put his staff down. Right. Noah had to build the ark. Right. But he is the one who finishes the job. Its duty is ours, results are God's, and that's a statement that we need to understand. He's looking for people right now, and I believe I'm one of them, and who are willing to do this. I think on June 9th, there's going to be a lot of people who are shocked. A lot of people are shocked. It had nothing to do with me. Right. Glory will always go to God.
And we are going to see that happen. June 9th is our primary, and our candidate on the show today is Jim Blockey, who is running for District 1 for the United States Congress, House of Representatives, and 2-year term. Yeah. We'll if you're elected, we're going to elect you one more term after that, and then we'll enforce your term limit.
Well, I think the term limit was 3 terms for a
House
House, and then 1. I would assume it was 2 terms for the Senate, and my hope is that if you're a 3-term congressman, then 1 term in the Senate would be enough. I mean, I think if you're up there, that would be 6 and 6. That'd be 12 years. I think 12 years is enough time to be.
I think there's 12 years of representing
other people. Yeah,
in Jim Blockey.
I'll be old, man, but I'll do it.
There's a lot to be said for wisdom, though.
Yes,
and we're not seeing a whole lot of it right now from the Senate.
Look at his hair.
Earned every stripe, I'm sure.
The Bible says that's wisdom, and I'm proud of every white hair that I have on my head. I think my kids had more to do with it, than wisdom. But whatever. But yeah, all the glory's got to go to God. We need to be out there, and do what God wants us to do. Do it. Do something. Be out there. Be knowledgeable. And then do it, and then God will finish it off. God always finishes it. We had no right winning the Revolutionary War. We had no right winning that. We were outmanned, outgunned, out everything. And yet we won because it was divine intervention. And again, it wasn't me who said it was divine intervention. It was our founding fathers. It was Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, George Washington. They're the ones who said that. It was divine intervention. It's the only reason we have this country right now.
Right. And, and we've seen it throughout, in a lot of wars, even in World War II. I believe God used the United States in quashing an evil. Mm-hmm. And so, we have, the United States is a noble nation and worthy of preserving. And no better to hear this from than a veteran.
Yeah, 3 years. It wasn't a long time, but I did learn a lot. It was during the Vietnam War, and I could have gone, and God saved me from going. Because people who came back from that war were really messed up, and
it's tough.
It's really bad. And I thank God that He did not send me over there during that time.
Yeah. But we love our veterans. I have a sister, actually, that is a lieutenant colonel in the Marines. And, I honor her. We honor all servicemen because, you know what? They put country first. They take the job of putting their country first. And my baby sister, has been serving now for, oh my goodness, since since '99.
Oh, wow. Praise God
Yeah,
for that.
so 27 years.
Yeah.
And so I just love that. And so I've been speaking with Jim Blockey, who is running for District 1 for the House of Representatives for the state of Nevada. And that's his election is coming up for the primary on June 9th. And so make sure you got your sample ballot. Make sure you take a look at that at the candidates there. And Jim, I thank you for being on the show today.
It's
and
my pleasure.
good luck
Thank
on
you.
your campaign.
Yes.
And
I'll come back after the primary.
and then we'll take a look at it again after that. All right.
Okay.
God bless
All
you,
right.
sir.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
I want to take a moment to acknowledge one of the great sponsors that make this portion of the broadcast possible, and that's Dr. Ray Kelly of Kelly Chiropractic. Treats injuries from falls, accidents, motor vehicle crashes, work-related incidents. For those of you who are suffering from allergies, he also has a procedure called acutherapy, going to treat your allergies and ease some of that discomfort. Accepts most forms of insurance. Been in the business over 33 years here in Las Vegas. Give him a call. Set up your appointment. The number is 702-870-9200. Well, folks, we've come to the end of the show. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Awesome having candidate Jim Blockey on our broadcast. Again, if you want more information about Jim's campaign, you can do so by going to jimblockey.com. The views and opinions of the broadcaster and Champions for Life do not reflect the opinions of First Choice Pregnancy Services or their staff. Remember, voting time's coming up. It's going to be on January 9th for our primary. For voting in our primary, make sure that you cast your ballot. And folks, if you don't remember anything else, remember that the Lord loves you and you can be a champion for life.